everyone, this is Gina. Today we're going to design this pretty necklace together. So we are using the newest treasure bags, the Demure and Sophisticated collections, and in each bag you have quite a few pendants. I have joined 3 of them together to make this look, and it lays really nice on the neck. I've only made them like 18 inches long, so it lays higher on your chest. You could make this a longer looking or a longer necklace to hang on a nice turtleneck or whatever you'd like, but I think this turned out really pretty. It lays perfectly, looks really nice, and I will show you exactly what I use from each bag to make this. Of course, this is a techniques video. You can do something like this without having the treasure bag. This will show you how to make links and link them together, and how to link pendants together, so it is worth the watch, even if you don't have the bag. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what it takes to make this project. Okay, for this project, I want to design as I go. So I have decided to use things from the treasure bag. I want to put together kind of a multiple linked up pendant or focal for this necklace, and then I want to make a pair of earrings. So what I'm using from the 2 bags is from the Sophisticated bag. I'm going to use what I have left of these 8mm round black drizzle beads, and of course I have more of these online. I had a ton of them when I ordered, so I have more of these online in the bargain bin, and they're only like $1. So if you want some more of those, you can get some. I also have more of these, and this is the bead I'm going to be using from the Demure bag. So just what I have left in my bags, or if you want more, you can get more, of course. And then I am going to be using some of the crystal, the AAA crystal. For the Demure bag, I'm going to use the bicones, the large bicones that are clear. I'm going to use those, all 6 of them. And then for the Sophisticated bag, I've already used the black ones like this, so I'm going to use the almost kind of olive gray color. It says it's slate gray, but it's kind of got an olive tone. So I'm going to be using all 6 of these for the Sophisticated bag. Then in both bags you have a pendant that looks like this, a little 2 hearts that look like this. We're going to use one, a flower link that looks like this, and then you have these 2 long shell pendants. And I think I'm going to make these into earrings, and I'm just going to make this into one pendant, and we're going to see how that goes. So I'm going to design it. I also picked up some chain that matched my colors in here. I went to Hobby Lobby, or not Hobby Lobby, Michael's, or this could have been Walmart. I looked in both places, and I can't exactly remember which one I got, but I got some chain that matches these colors pretty well. It's just a little Rolo chain. It's a big package, and I don't know, I paid probably $8-10 for it, something like that. But you can use any chain you would like. Like I said, this is a Rolo chain, and it matches my colors, so I'm going to be using some of that. And that's from my personal stash. I'm going to be using one of the clasps from the bags, and I'm going to be using some 6 and 5mm jump rings. And as you can see, they're not real thick, they're not real thin. They're kind of medium gauge. I would say probably about, a 21 or 22 gauge, so that they'll fit through my loops on my pendants really well. And that's what we're going, we need some wire too, because I think I want to make some little links with my crystals and my beads to hook my chain together. So we're going to be using some of this wire. This is a textured wire. It's textured on one side and not on the other, but it's just the right color. You can use any 20 gauge wire you want. This happens to be it's medium tempered, textured, tarnish resistant wire, and I got this on Amazon, I believe. It's Bead. So you can use any 20 gauge wire that you would like, as long as it matches your color scheming well, because golds can be in so many different tones. And then I may be adding a couple other things to this as I design. I think I want to add some bead caps too. So I'm going to use some of these that were in the bag, but I'm sure you've used yours by now. There were only 15. I have these on my website in packs of 30 or something like that. So if you want to get some more of these, you can, or just use a bead cap that you have on hand. And that's what we're going to be using. The first thing we're going to do is put together a pendant or a focal. So gather your things together and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make 6 components that look like this. So I'm going to show you how to make that component. Once we've made those 6, then we will move into making our focal, and then we'll decide how we want to do the components with our little round beads, or how many we need. Because I am designing, I don't know right now. So we're going to do this in segments. So we're going to begin by cutting about 3.5 inches of 20 gauge wire. Now, that might be a little bit excessive. You can cut a little less if you want, but I would just say start with 3.5, see if you want to cut it down, whatever you'd like to do. So mine is textured on one side, so I'm going to put the texturing away from me. That way when I do this, I think that will bring the texturing out to the front. I don't know. But I'm going to go about 1.5 inches down on my wire and put it in my round nose pliers towards the front of the pliers, just a little ways down because I don't want a huge loop. Then I'm going to push the wire over the back prong while I hold my pliers flat. Then I'm going to reposition my pliers so it is now up and down instead of flat. Then I'm going to bring that wire, the short portion, over the top of the plier. As I get about 3/4 of the way around, I'm just going to reposition my plier, and I'm going to have it flat now. I'm going to bring that wire underneath the plier, and then I'm just going to kind of rock it back towards me to center it, because I have it a little off center. If it goes off center, whichever direction, you can just rock it back so that it's more centered. So now I have a loop that looks like this. Now I'm going to grab my flat nose pliers and I'm going to hold on to this loop, and I am going to position it to where I have the flat nose plier completely covering the loop, and I have put my extra piece of wire at the same angle and parallel right next to the plier. Then I'm going to turn the plier over and put it in my left hand. Now my wire is underneath the long wire, and I'm just going to turn. I only want a couple of turns because I don't want this to be a real long link. So I'm going to turn one coil, and then I'm going to turn another coil all the way around, bring it towards the front here, and then this is what I have. Sorry, it flew across the room. And now I am just going to cut that excess off. I don't want more than 2 coils all the way around, because that would make my link really long, elongated looking, and I don't want that. So now I'm going to grab my crimping tool, and in one of the round divots, I'm just going to squeeze that little pokey part down. And now this is what I have. Now I'm going to grab a bead cap and slide it on. Well, come here. And then I'm going to put on one of my cubes, and then another bead cap. And then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers and place it right on top of that bead cap, pull up on my wire, and position it to where I will be twirling a loop the same direction as the bottom one. If you don't get that perfect, that's okay. We can straighten them out after the wrap. But I try to position it so that both loops will be the same way. Now I'm holding on right above that bead cap, no slack. I'm going to push the wire over the top. Make sure that you are not too far down on your plier. Basically the same position you were when you did the other side. Keep your plier in the same place and move it so that it's now positioned up and down. Bring your wire over the top. Position your plier flat again. Bring the wire underneath the bottom of the plier. And you should have a loop, just like this. Now my loop is, let's see, is it off-centered? No, it's okay. So I'm going to grab my flat nose pliers, again, position this wire so that it is parallel and at the same angle as my plier. Yeah, and then drop it. Let's get that positioned again. And then I'm just turning it over and placing it in my left hand. For me, that makes it easier. You don't necessarily have to do that. That's just the way I do it. Now I am going to start to turn, and I want the same amount of turns, so I don't want to go real high up on my loop. Just right underneath my loop. Oh, come on, you. Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Position that again and begin to turn. So I only want like 2.5 loops like that. Just so that it's the same length as the other side and I don't have a really long elongated component. I'm going to cut this down and squeeze in that excess. Now I have a component and we're going to make 6 of those. So once you have made your 6, we'll be back. Okay, so now you can see I have made all 6 of my components. I've pulled 2 aside that are really similar in the wrap because a lot of times your wraps will be a little bit different. These 2 I will use on my focal area, making sure that I get pretty good symmetry. And then these, which are pretty close to, but not perfect, I will use in the necklace portion. They're all pretty much the same. I just like to make sure that I have 2 that are very similar for the front. So I'm going to use these 2. We're going to start to build a pendant. So we're going to take our loop here. And what we want to do is we want a 6mm jump ring and we want to connect this little guy, we're going to connect it between 2 links. So we're going to connect the loop on the heart with the 6mm jump ring right in between these 2 loops where they cross. So what we're going to do is pick up a jump ring and I'm going to find the opening of the 6mm jump ring, place a plier on one side of that opening, place another plier on the other side of the opening and twist it open and pretty wide because we need to manipulate this guy through this loop and this loop. So I'm going to try to stay in close here and stay in camera while I do this. So I'm going to go through the heart and then I'm going to go through the looped area of the pendant. Now it's going to want to slip out of the loop. So I'm going to reposition my pliers so that I can keep it in that loop. This is a little finagly. It's not hard, it's just that you want to be able to hold on to it and it can be a little jiggly. So this is what I've done. Now you want to make sure that the rhinestones are the same direction as your CZ on this pendant. So now I have it right in the middle of this loop here. Now I want to stabilize this by putting a 4mm jump ring through the loop of the heart. Let me get you close again. through the loop of the heart on the right side and one on the left side, and we're going to go through the loop of the heart and through just the larger portion of the loop on either side. So we'll do one on the right side and one on the left side. So I'm going to pick up a 4mm jump ring this time, or not 4, 5mm. I think a 4 will probably work too, but I am using 5mm, so I want to make sure you know that. I'm placing my pliers on either side, opening it fairly wide, and I'll see if I can stay in camera doing this. I'm going to go into the loop of the heart on the right side of the other jump ring, and then through the larger portion of the loop on the right side. And again, it's gonna move around, do all kinds of stuff. Close that jump ring. Well, maybe there. Now, as you can see, I have a little jump ring right on this side here. I'm going to try to get in closer so you can see. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. This is why you don't want really heavy jump rings or really thick jump rings, because if you have a really heavy gauge jump ring, you're not going to be able to fit all these in here. So like I said, I think they don't always put, you know, gauges of wire on jump rings. I think this is probably about a 21 or a 22 gauge. So now I'm just going to, and it's medium temper. It's not a real soft jump ring. So I'm just going to open another one. I'm going to push these two aside, go on the left side of the other two jump rings and into the larger loop. Hold on to it the best I can and close that jump ring. Now, I have 3 jump rings and a very balanced heart on there. And I hope I was in camera, because I tend to want to bring it up to my face. And of course my face isn't in the camera, but it seems to be the way I want to do this. Now, we have this one on here, and I want to put, I think I want to put this one underneath, and I want to keep the textured side out, because I don't think this side is as pretty. I mean, you could do it this way, but I want to keep the textured side out, and I want to attach it to where this heart just lays right on top of it. And I was playing with this a minute ago, and I want to see how I did this. So what I've done is I'm going to turn this over, and the first thing I'm going to do is slide a 6mm jump ring through all 3 of these jump rings on the back here. So I'm going to open a 6mm jump ring. I like to open it with these pliers better. And I've opened it pretty wide, and I'm going to try to get in here as close as I can. I don't know if it's going to blur, but we're going to slide under all 3 of these jump rings. So let me see if I can stay in camera. And on the back side, I'm just going to slide through all 3 jump rings, just like that. Do you see that? I know it's kind of hard to see, but this is what I've got. I'm through all 3, and then I'm just going to close this jump ring. Okay, that jump ring now will lay on top of the heart flat like this. Let me get in extremely close because it's all gold and I'm sure it's hard to see. My jump ring is laying right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 4mm jump rings, and I'm going to attach them to this pendant and then to that jump ring. So I'm going to try to stay in as close as I can here, but I'm going to do one at a time. I'm going to open I keep saying 4, but this is a 5mm jump ring. And I'm going to, do I have a 5 or do I have a 6? Yeah. I'm going to put it on my pendant. Then I'm going to scoop underneath that jump ring I just put on. and just that jump ring, none of the other 3 that are on the thing. And I'm going to close it. Okay, so I've got 1 on there, but I like to put 2 right next to each other whenever I'm connecting something kind of big and heavy, simply because it balances it better, it makes it hang better. So I'm going to grab another one, and this again is another 5mm jump ring. I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to slide through the clasp loop, or through the pendant loop, through the jump ring next to the jump ring I just put on, and not through it, just through the one on the back that we put through all 3 of the jump rings. And then these 2 now lay right next to each other, just like this. And I'm going to get you really close so you can see what I did, because I can't always stay in camera when I'm doing it. So here's the loop, and then 2 jump rings here, and then we've got the jump ring that we put through the 3 jump rings there. That's what that should look like, and this organizes everything. I'm going to show you just beautifully. Now this little pendant, I'm going to kind of squish him around a little because he's a little domed. So this lays just like this. Should be centered perfectly. Everything should lay nice just like that. Now we're going to connect with a jump ring our 2 components on, I think I want to put them into the where the loops are crossed here. So we're going to pick up a 6mm jump ring, because let's get a 6mm, Gina, because I think when we're going through the looped ones, it's going to be a little easier to have a little bit bigger jump ring. So we're going to open another jump ring pretty widely, and I'm sorry, I need to back off a little here. I'm going to go through where these loops cross on the pendant, drop on my cube, and close my jump ring. Okay. See what I've got. See what I've got. That's pretty good. Make sure on your components that your loops are the same directions. If they're not, you can grab a pair of pliers and just turn them so that they are the same direction. And then we are going to open another 6mm jump ring, go through the looped portion here, drop on our component, come on, go on there, and then close that jump ring. And like I said, it's fidgety and kind of a pain in the rear end, but it's not terrible. I mean, I've done worse tasks as far as trying to get something put together that doesn't want to hold still. Okay, one more time, Gina. Poops. It's just poops. See? I tell ya. Come here. I'm gonna get it. I will win. So stop fussing with me. There we go. Now, this is the focal of my necklace. Let me back off so you can see what it looks like. And if your little loop thing is kind of weird, because it's really pretty strong, but it can be kind of domed or something. If you want to flatten it tiny bit, a little bit, you can do that. And just make it kind of position the way you want it to. And that turned out really pretty. So now I am going to go and kind of figure out how I want to put the rest of these together. I'm thinking I'm going to want to put chain in between and position the position my links like this. But I may find that I want to do something strong between here, maybe the chain, maybe I want to put one of these in between and not use a chain, maybe just jump rings. I haven't decided yet. But I think I might want to use chain, and we can make it very simple by not putting any more components. We could just attach the chain here and then put the chain towards the back, or we could use some of these. On this one I would use the black, and I'm really not sure yet. So this is where we're at. I'll be back in a moment and we will figure out exactly how we're going to put this together. Okay, so I thought I better show you how to do components for the long bicones that I'm going to use for the demure bag. However, you can use, if you still have some of your cubes, because on a bracelet I used 2 colors of cubes, so I didn't have enough. However, if you have 6 of your cubes left, you can use one of those. Either color will work great. If you want to use the bicone, I am just not going to use a cap on this because, well, maybe I can make it work. I don't know if the shape of it is right for a cap. So what I'm going to do is I've cut, it's probably about 4 inches of wire, and I'm going to go about 2, let me see, that's about 1 3/4 inches down on the wire, and I'm going to make a loop just like we did before. Same thing. And I think I'm just going to do one little loop here so that I can wrap it around my bicone a little more. So I'm just doing one loop and I'm going to leave that sticking out. Then I'm going to drop my bicone on, and I could have gone further down my wire so that I had more to work with on the top, but I didn't, so you might want to adjust that. Then we're going to make another loop on the other side just like we did on the cubes. Let's see if I can get this loop a little bit better because I made it kind of big. So yeah, that will work. And then I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to turn it one loop. Then I'm going to go back over here and turn this another loop and kind of get it to where it's tightened on both sides, just a little bit at a time. Then I can start working over the top of my bead, so I make kind of a little bead cap with it. So I'm just turning a little over the top, and again, use more wire on both sides so that you can make an even amount of wire on either side, but I'm doing okay. All right, so now that I have both sides wrapped like this, I'm going to, and they're fairly equal, I'm going to cut this off. And tuck it in. You can make a wrap up around the top a little bit too, so that you don't have to tuck it in around your glass. But I'm just going to tuck this in as gently as I can. Straighten this out. And though they're not exactly the same, they're pretty close. And now I've made kind of a little bead cap wrap around the top of this bead. Again, if you have a smaller bead cap, you can just do the wraps like we did before on the cubes. If you do not have a bead cap, then you can wrap your wire so it kind of forms a bead cap over the top like this. If you use a longer amount of wire, you can go down further on the bead also. So that's how we're going to attach those, and you're going to attach them on either side after you make your focal just like we did the cubes on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and put another one here, figure out how I want to do the middle of this one, and then I'll figure out how I want to do this one, and I'll come back and forth, and we'll build this together. Okay, so I have decided how I want to put this together, and I'm adding into the mix some 8mm jump rings because I was thinking about putting the chain in between, but my chain is kind of small linked. And I think with the size of components I'm making, I really just want to put an 8mm jump ring in between. I was going to put 2 on each section, but some of my loops that I made for my components really don't accommodate 2 of them because this is a little thicker jump ring. So this is what I'm doing. I'm making the component I showed you how to make, and then I'm going to make a component that I'm going to show you how to make in a second, and I'm just hooking them together with jump rings. I'm going to do all 6 of my cubes. I'll probably do 5 or 6 of the components in between, and I will show you exactly how I'm going to do that. But how I'm going to put it all together. But we're going to make this component. Now, whether you have the black bead or you have the 8mm baked bead, you're going to use either one for your components. Now, for my black ones, I may make my components with a jump ring or with a bead cap on it because these beads are just a little smaller than these beads, so I want to get back a little bit of that length. Otherwise, I can just make more components, or I can put more chain in the back because I think I'm going to decorate the front and put chain in the back. So this is how we're going to make this component. We're going to do it exactly how we were doing our other components, except we're going to use one of these. And if I'll go ahead and do the black one just to see how the bead caps are going to work for it. You can see that I've made the components here, and they're exactly the same process, so it's not like you need to see them both. I've cut probably about 3 inches of wire. Yeah, it's 3 inches of wire, and I'm going down on it about 1 inch and bend it over, just like we've been doing. Bring that wire over the top. Try to stay consistent with your loop sizes, so if you need to mark your plier, you can, so that all your loops are the same. And then you're going to draw that wire underneath, just like we've been doing. And take it off, take the round nose plier off, put on your chain nose plier, and position your plier in your other hand, wires underneath. It is parallel and up close to the plier, and we are going to take 2 full turns here. So I've got 2 nice little coils there. I'm going to cut this off, and then I'm just going to tuck that in just like that. And then we are going to drop on a bead cap. And for this one, just drop the bead on. Unless you want to use bead caps, you can. But I think with these black ones, just to get them to be a little bit bigger, and plus they have a pretty good size hole in them, I'm just going to do this so I don't have any issues with my wires being inconsistent or anything. So now that I've dropped this on, I am going to push that over the top just like before. Bring it over the top and under, make a loop. Then we're going to hold on to the loop, position our wire up close and at the same angle as the plier. I'm going to switch my hands, and then I am going to go ahead and coil again so that I have about 2.5 coils just to tighten that bead and bead caps onto the wire so that they're not moving around everywhere. Just like that. And then I will cut this off. and tuck it in. Now, I'm going to show you what I've done here is I have my 2 little beads on here, and let's do it with the black one. So I have what we did on camera. Now I'm going to grab an 8mm jump ring, and I'm going to open it just like I showed you before. Pop it on to the 2 components and close it. And then I will grab another 8mm jump ring, open it, put it on, put my next component on, and I will continue till I've used all 6 of my cubes. So I'll have 3 on this side and 3 on this side, and more than likely 3 of these components in between. So you want to go ahead and make 6 of these components. If we need another on the other side, if it doesn't come out quite right, then I'll let you know, but I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to put both of these pieces together. And I think I'm going to put some chain to the back, and or you can make jump rings to the back, or you can make more components. You have more of these beads than you have these, so you could make more components of these towards the back, or you could put 2 of those in between your cubes. However you want to arrange your necklace to get your length, that's fine. I'm going to make the back of the necklace about 18 inches long. So I'll spread it out like this and measure it until I have about 17 inches, and then I'll put on my clasping, and that will give me 18 inches. So I'm going to continue putting this together, and I will be right back and show you what I end up with. Okay, so this is what I've ended up with so far. I made 6 of the baked glass components, 6 of the crystal components, connected them together with 8mm jump rings, and now when I measure it, so what I'll do is I'll put my focal right in the center of my ruler, because this is an 18-inch ruler and I want an 18-inch necklace. You can do this on your bead board too. Just put your center on the 0 on your bead board, and then you can see exactly how long you've got. So I have got about a 16-inch necklace. I wanted to make it 17 inches and then add my clasping. So really, I don't have that far to go. So what I'm going to do, instead of adding this small chain in the back, just a little bit of it, I think I'm just going to add some of my 8mm jump rings. I may even double them. I don't know. I'll do a single and then a double unit and then a single. We'll see how that looks. So I'm going to do that till I have about a little over 17 inches, and then I'll add my clasping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you in here and grab out some of my 8mm jump rings, and hopefully I saved enough for my other necklace. We'll see. But I'm just going to open them and add them together, and just put it on the back here, and I'll just continue connecting them until I get the length I want. You could also make a couple more components of this type. You could just do more components and then connect your clasping to the components, or a jump ring from the components, whatever you'd like to do. I think that to stay consistent with the size, the color, everything, I think just adding 5 or 6 of these on both sides is going to be what I need to do. So I'm just going to continue putting 8mm jump rings on here, come back, show you how many I used, put the clasping on the end. I'm also going to finish up the other necklace, so I have just barely got it started. So let me see if I can show you it. So I need to finish this one. I'll come back with them both. and let you see exactly what I did with both of them, and put our clasping on, and we'll be done. Okay, so I put 7 8mm jump rings on here and gave me about a 17.5-inch necklace in total length as it stands now. So I am just going to put my clasping on. My clasping isn't quite the same color, but I think it'll be okay. I'm using a 6mm jump ring this time, and I'm just going to open it, and I'm going to attach my clasping to the 8mm jump rings with a 6mm jump ring. So I'm just going to open it, drop it on the jump ring on the necklace, drop the loop of the clasp on, and close the 6mm jump ring, just like that. And do the same thing for the other end of the clasping. And normally I think, well, that's okay. Sometimes I'm particular about what side I put the clasping on, the round side or the straight side, but I'm not paying attention, so you know. Now I'm doing the same thing, opening a 6mm jump ring, dropping it on, closing the jump rings, and this is what it looks like. And then I will go off camera and make the black one, or the sophisticated bag one, and show you what it looks like. This one turned out just really nice. So I may put a different clasp on there. It's not quite, I did really good getting my golds to match, but that's, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so this is what this looks like. And that turned out really gorgeous. So this should be a nice 18-inch necklace, and that way this doesn't hang too far down. Of course, if you want it to hang down lower, if you want it to be a sweater type necklace, then just make more jump rings at the end, make more components, however you want to make it. You can make it longer or shorter just by how you end it. So I'm going to finish the other necklace and come back, and perhaps we can throw together a pair of earrings. Okay, so I came up with a slight issue with the clasping. With the 8mm jump rings and connecting them with the 6mm jump ring, my toggle didn't want to work correctly. It was very difficult to get clasps and it clasped, and it wouldn't stay clasped. So I decided that I'm not going to use the toggle. Now, if you want to use your toggle, use like a 3 or 4mm jump ring, 2 of them on this side to attach to your 8mm, and 1 of them on this side to attach to your 8mm jump rings, so that you can reduce it down and make sure that your clasping will work correctly. However, I have decided this color works better with my necklace, and I'd just rather have a more secure ending on this. So I've got a fairly decent size lobster claw, which makes it easy to use, and I am going to grab one of my 5mm jump rings, and I'm going to put it on this side, and then I am going to put a 5mm jump ring and an 8mm jump ring on the other side. And actually, I could even use a smaller, maybe I'll use, because that was a 6mm jump ring here. So I'm going to use a much smaller jump ring here. If I can get these open. Yeah, I'm going to use that one, which is like a 4, I believe. And I'm going to open it up. This is a 4 or 5, and that's a 6. And I am going to put an 8, or I think that's a 10mm jump ring. I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to attach a 10mm jump ring, so I know that that's my clasping jump ring. I'll close this one up. Come, oh, come here. Jeez Louise. And now I have a clasping end that is going to work better. Of course, you could just put another 8mm here with your 4mm. The reason I'm putting the 4mm is just to keep everything even and to also distinguish the difference between the clasping and the chain itself. So that's why I'm doing that. You could just put another 8 on there. However, you want this one to lay in the flat direction, so you need to either put 2 more or you need to put a small one so that your clasping works correctly. So that's why I've done that, and I will try to put this on and see if it works well, and then I'll finish the other necklace. I just wanted to let you know that it just wasn't cutting it. Okay, I have finished both necklaces, but before I show you them all laid out and everything, we want to make a real quick pair of earrings. So you can see I have made a pair with the long shell pendant and just a wrapped unit like we've been making to connect it to. However, I connect this unit as I make the component so that it's one piece. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. You're going to make both pairs exactly the same, except for on these black ones I dropped some bead caps on. On this one I'm not going to, but it's the same process. The same process we've been using all along. So what we're going to do is I have about a 3 3/4 inch piece of wire, and I'm just going to do what I've been doing. I'm going to go down about, I don't know, an inch and a half. Let's see, this is about a little over an inch and a quarter. And then I am going to push the wire over the plier. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way so you can see. And then I'm going to turn my plier so it's no longer flat, it's up and down. I'm going to bring the wire over the top and then turn my plier and draw the wire underneath. So we have a loop, just like this. We're going to take our ear wire, or our pendant. We're going to open this just a little bit, drop our pendant on, close it again, position the wire the same angle as your plier as you hold onto that loop that has your pendant on it. And I am going to turn this over because I like to wrap it with the wire underneath the long wire. And I'm just going to wrap it like twice, just like we've been doing. Just coil it around and then cut it down. And then we're just going to squeeze that excess piece down. And now you have something that looks like this. Now you can straighten out your loop a little bit so that your pendant hangs on it a little bit better. If it's just a little bit off, just straighten it up a little, which I think I just made mine worse, actually. I do things like that. And then I'm going to drop my bead on, and then I'm going to make a loop on the top here. So I'm just going to set this here, bend it over, reposition my plier, just make the loops just exactly the way we've been making them all along. Draw that wire underneath. And then I will hold onto this loop and turn this wire. I think I could do this with my fingers. I'm just going to turn it until it tightens the beads, just like that. And cut that down. And then I am going to tuck that in. And now I'm going to turn this loop so that it's flat. So this one you want to be up and down so that the pendant hangs correctly. And then for your ear wire, you want this one to be flat, so it's up and down on the bead mat, and you can adjust it a couple of times too to make sure that everything is hanging correctly. Just like this. And I'm just going to grab an ear wire. I made these. They're kind of huge and weird looking, but I'm going to purchase some more that are closer to the gold color I need. I have some, but they're all really, really bad colors. So for this particular project. So I'm just going to drop it on my ear wire. And now I have myself a pair of earrings, just like that. So now, let me see if I can straighten some of this up. Yeah, you can hear I'm pushing everything off my bead mat. My bead mat gets really messy when I'm designing. So, yeah, it's just kind of the way it works. So I'm going to lay this one out so you can see it. And back off a little here. Just get the front so you can see what it looks like. And then we'll get this one. So here's the black one. Let me back off so you can see it. It turned out really pretty too. So I'm going to lay it out. And I'll give you a real good shot of it in the intro, so you can see what both of them look like, and I'll have them laid out nicer and all that good stuff, because right now it's just boring for you to watch me play with my necklaces. So I'm just going to lay this out somewhat so you can see what the two of them look like, and then I will do a better job for the intro. But this is what these look like. They turned out really pretty. And again, I can lay them out nicer than that. That's not very nice layout, but as you can see, this one, these lay perfectly on your neck. The way we balanced putting all these pieces together here, I went and tried on my necklaces and they just lay perfect. It's completely balanced. It turned out great and looks really nice. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm sorry that it's been a little while since I've made one. I'm in the middle of moving my son's family to Colorado, so it's a little bit of a time crunch for me lately, but I promise I will get back to you very soon. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.